Oh, hello, my sweet. So won't you come with me? There's oh so much to show in this grim dark distillery. So if you like bullshit or want some hobby tips, this nightmare priest, nigh and binary, ruled magnificent, welcomes you. Hello, my sweets. Good morning, as always. Good morning, Possum. Good morning, Mowgli. Yes, there was no stream last night. I was having a little bit of mental overwhelmness, and it's probably because I had a whole lot of stuff to work through. So I'm going to clean up all the shit I just spilled on the floor right quick. My reactions were pretty quick, but they were not as quick as I had hoped. And while I'm doing that, I think I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about what we're going to get into today and a little bit of realization clarity that I got yesterday. Pretty wild. Life is pretty wild sometimes. Sometimes you have an idea and you're like, man, I wish I had the tools to carry out that idea. And the fear can kind of keep you from moving forward with that. However, you have to push through. So this morning, I woke up, I played a little bit of Sekiro because I needed a little bit of me time to do something that I enjoy and consume some media that I really like, because I know that that really impacts what I make. The kind of stuff that you consume definitely helps your own creativity. So while I am picking up all these bits from the floor, I was going to yap a little bit about that. A lot of you know that one of the key things that I wanted to do with this channel, and in general, was finish the story that I was working on with my friend Ed before he passed away. However, I've been very much not sure how to even do that, because how do you find someone that, you know, would do a good enough job playing the side that, like, the person who introduced you, like, most of your lifetime ago to a game would play. And fate is a little weirded sometimes because, so my buddy Ed and Ed introduced me to Warhammer, and I've not done anything on my channel Warhammer related. I picked up all the shit, by the way. Also, while I'm thinking it, do not ever open enamel paints unless you're in a very well ventilated space. Oils, that's one thing. You can fuck with oils. Enamels and lacquers will fucking kill you. Like, don't joke around with that kind of stuff. And you know it the moment that you smell them. Like, you're like, oh man, that is fucking toxic as hell. That's a quick little tidbit right there while I'm cleaning off my desk. So I busted out some of my actual weathering products yesterday. And unfortunately, my spray booth was too damn full to do anything with them. So I tried to fuck around with it out here. That was a terrible mistake. But I'm feeling really good because I've had a bit of clarity. So with Ed and I, we were wanting to tell a story. And that is, I think, the majority of people who know my work, they know my work from my Emperor's Children, because they are my... Thank you, Mowgli. Rest in peace. I hope to meet you at the Chronoclast, my brother. So everything that I do is very trying to distill who I am and what I get out of all of this into something. And there is nothing that I can think of that would be better to explain what I love about all of this. Oh yeah, it'll mess you up. Enamel stuff is gnarly. Even with a respirator, it's just, God, if you have anyone else in the house, please, for their sake, and yours, don't use enamels without proper ventilation, because that stuff is horrible for your brain. Gnarly headaches. But yeah, so wanting to continue forward with that story is very hard, because it's just like, I had a very big realization with, you know, Warhammer shortly after Adepticon, and I've been trying to figure out what the hell to do with all of that, because I love Warhammer. It is my favorite setting. It really is. However, I really do not care for the company or the game that they are trying to push with that IP now. And I think the easiest way to do that is to show exactly what Ed and I did, which was not playing their game. We played in their space with our rules, with our models. And I want to show you all how to do that, because that is like one of the things I love the most. However, not knowing, okay, who am I going to have to help me with that? Well, you all know him because he's in here, and I did not know that I already knew this person. But at this point in time, after talking with Shankly for a hot minute and seeing how much he wants to make stories and to tell stories and how much he loves my art and supports it, he's a very obvious choice, and that's compounded when I realized that he was actually the vocalist in maybe, I mean, I've talked about him on here, without knowing that that's who he was. But Breathe or Resist. Breathe or Resist was the first time that I ever felt a sense of community. It felt like I was a church. And every band that I was in after that was essentially chasing the high that I got from Breathe or Resist. That went from my own band, Touchdown City, where I was a vocalist, and I got to do all the fun stuff, all the fun things. Very, very, very fun times. I got to really experience playing like and entertaining a crowd to the point that you're like, man, this is great. Doesn't get any better than that. And then you hit a point that you're like, okay, well, what do I want to do now? And then it was music. I want to make music that is just for me. So then I made Fern Teeth. And the entire objective with that band was Sean and I wanted to feel like we just left church when we finished playing a set. And we accomplished that because it's just 30 minutes. A 30-minute set is what the EP was. And that was the most fun playing music I've ever had, because it was just us. So I love music. However, and I do still make music, and that's one of the things I'm going to work on today. I need to get the stream and everything kind of figured out as far as getting music on here, because I want this to be something worth your time, and I have the tools. I just need to take the time to do it. So I got to clean my shit up, which I've started on, but I really need to get more of a clear headspace. But so we are going to, we're finishing up 1490 Doom. And I'm going to finish up Grief, and I'm going to finish the commission that I've got going on for Trench Crusade for the wires. And then I think I'm probably going to start messing around with some Warhammer stuff, because I do love it. And it's not, I can't stress that enough. I want to show you how to make the models that I love, not how to play a game that I don't, which is absolutely the goal of this, of the distillery, is to show what I love, not what I don't like. So, and I think people will appreciate that. But yeah, I'm very, very excited about that. Actually, good morning. Just make sure you don't burn yourself out. Yeah, that's it. And that's the thing. I think I had good morning, Atri. Goodbye, Atri. I think having a goal now, so pretty much the main idea with the distillery is I've wanted to make a nonprofit or something that is able to sustain itself by giving the community what they actually want. And I know what I want. So I should start actually making that, because I know that what I want is what a lot of other people want. So I need to not just go through the motions, because that is absolutely where I was at some point in time with previous jobs. I love 1490 Doom. I'm absolutely going to finish that stuff. However, once I finish doing that, I need to move on to something that I love equally, if not more. And I can't think of anything more that would get me really pumped than probably finishing My Emperor's Children. They are the most relatable thing as far as games go for me. Their entire lore is just something that resonates with me, and I want to see done justice. And that is part of the reason that I've not touched on that, is because I don't even... It's not cool to have something that is really important to you taken and turned into something else for profit. So it's a very sensitive subject. However, I think I'm in the right headspace to finally deal with that. Kind of like I'm in the right headspace to finally deal with grief as of recent. So I just wanted to give everyone a heads up that, yeah, today I am going to be, after we finish streaming here, I'm going to be putting music and shit to the intro and to the BRB. I've actually written some stuff. I wrote some stuff yesterday that, well, not wrote yesterday. I've been working on some music that I've really enjoyed that I just need to record. Very much kind of in the vein of the outro that I did for Dragged into Turbo Lasers. Just some real chill guitar. But I think honestly the intro for the Morning Hobby Hang, I really just kind of want it to be Too Good to Forget from Fur and Teeth. Because it really did, that song just summarized, like, just get fucking pumped. Yeah, so that's just a big unload of what's been on my mind. But it feels very good to have a sense of, like, I know what the hell I need to do. And I'm not trying to even remotely say that I'm not going to finish working on the other games that I started working on, like with, Flames of Orion, Trench Crusade. I have so much stuff. However, the amount of stuff that I have almost done for my Emperor's Children and to do the story that Ed and I were doing is a lot. And it will absolutely scratch the itch that I want of industrial sci-fi. It also will very much showcase the paints that I love that were from like the first, like, I guess, shit, my brain, I'm too many thoughts. Affiliate. The first, like, company that, like, I fell in love with their company through their products, and then talking to them, they love the exact same thing I do. That's TurboDork. And there's very few things that I think could showcase why I love TurboDork as much and why I fuck with them than the Emperor's Children, because that's literally why the company exists. Greg wanted a color purple that was good enough to be what the main color is, and he fucking nailed it. And unfortunately, as with Cody and Eric, they love games. They wanted to make a really good game that's fun, that tells stories by itself. And after doing that, they've just been doing all the other stuff to try and keep the business running. So it's one of those things where you make a paint company because you love paint and you really want to play at this game, and then you no longer have the time to do the thing. So I would like to do the thing, since he has done a lot of hard work to make it to where other people can do the thing that he is giving up because he loves it. And I think honestly that's the same thing with 1492 Doom. That's why I like both of those companies. That's why I like those people. They've worked hard to give a part of them to the community, and I want to showcase that as much as I can. 1490 Doom, I'm already very, very much on the way of that. I think TurboDork, I really need to up the game, and I can't stress enough, that's not a sales pitch. It's more of if you champion what you love because you actually love it, I think that resonates with people. And that's the kind of content that I like to see. And that kind of just goes back to the whole reason of why it's just like, man, holy fuck. So Breathe the Resist was the band that, like, I grew up going to shows and seeing. I've talked about them on here so much. That's Shankly's band. And Ed was a massive fan of Breathe the Resist. When I think of him in my head, there's a very specific image, and he almost always has a Charmer shirt on, which is the sickest fucking album they made. But yeah, so I just wanted to kind of bring that out. So yeah, let's see. What do we got here? Have you heard Duncan Trussell Family Hour intro? I love your intro because it reminds me of him. Oh, nice. Hell yeah, no, I have not. I'll have to look into that. Hello all, glad I managed to catch this one. Welcome, Doc. Welcome all of you. Glad you are with us. Shakes hands. No need to be rude. Welcome to you. Welcome. Sorry, I was not trying to talk, but I'm just, a lot of clarity hit yesterday that I'm just feeling really, really good on. A sense of direction. that I've been kind of struggling with for a little bit because I I don't want to circle jerk on 1490 Doom because I want to play it. However, I know part of me also is mildly afraid of what the fuck do I do when I'm done with that, because I need to think of the next step because there's so many things that go into planning. And that one just kind of hit me yesterday, that I know exactly what I should do, what I want to do, and now I can do it. And I have all the tools to do it. I just need to do the thing. And again, that just kind of goes back to, I think people want to consume the type of media that they enjoy when it's made by somebody who truly loves what they're doing. So, I don't know. I needed a good little wake up. I had a wake up. So, we are going to do the evening hobby hang as well today. What time would be good for you guys? I was thinking about that. If there is a time that is better for you all, I love doing this. I prefer to do it not on Saturday or Sunday, just because that's days that I get to really hang out with my wife. But doing something in the week, in the evening, when people who are not able to really watch it in the mornings, is the entire reason that I really want to do evening hobby hangs. I want to make sure that the people who work, a 9 to 5, or they don't have the ability to be up at that early, or they've got other shit going on, I want them to be able to also kind of join in and have a conversation and ask questions and learn anything. Anytime after 3, that's when I get off, but I know I'm an hour behind you. Okay, so 4. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that would be, it would be anytime after there. Honestly, 6 or 7 is probably like my preferred time. That's EST. 7's probably the best. 6 o'clock is all right, but it does feel a little rushed. But I think 7 on Friday, I think that would be good for anybody that, a Friday night hangout's always good. So yeah, I think that sounds good. That sounds good to me. Thank you all. I can't stress enough. The feedback is very valuable. I eat a lot of peanuts. I just moved another peanut jar. That's very clear. We all know that I eat a lot of peanuts. But yeah, also that's something that I've been hoarding trash for, because like, oh, I've got so many ideas. And it's just like, man, you got to stop eating the peanuts and you got to start using the peanut jars. You know what I mean? Put that on a shirt, Eli. Bam. Money. Theo also likes peanuts. I got to tell you, I try to make sure that he only eats the unsalted ones because salt is not healthy for kitties. They are not as pleasant. They really don't. They don't satiate the, whatever the term is in Japanese, where it's just like my mouth is lonely. The salt, I feel like, fixes that. I'm looking for what I need to work on grief. We're going to work on grief today. I'm feeling really good because allowing myself to play with Warhammer in the way that I like means that I can start to kill a couple birds with the same stone. Life is a goose flail, as we all know. And with that, I mean making really gnarly shit, real spooky stuff that I think people like, and playing games with those spooky things. Which, on top of, thinking about, hey, I want to start messing with Warhammer, I have a friend named Johnny that you all might know. And he and I both like to make demons, and we like to do it in ways that are very different from other people. And we've talked about a couple times doing a form of storytelling with that. And the idea of a war in the eye kind of situation has been something that I've always just loved. It's been one of my favorite things about the 40K universe. Yeah, okay, let's get on grief. Yap. That was a lot. Sorry to just unload that all on you guys, but all this kind of clicked yesterday for me. So, also, after Kelly left, I went to work. I got the board for 1490 Doom, glossed with matte varnish. So, we're moving forward. The Wood, I'm not entirely happy with. And I think honestly, I'm probably going to end up dry brushing it, but it's going to get it's got oils on it, so I've got to make that clear to work on. But yeah, clarity is very handy. Very handy thing. Time zones are a pain, so I'm a long time a Chief stream enjoyer. Archived, gotcha. I'm a long time archived. I'm off work at 4 your time, so Winevskis. Oh, speaking of demons, my experiments with casting Lotus Pods is going well. Will you want some copies of? I would love some. Thank you, Dark. I did some mining off stream. Did I say mining? Mining? I don't know. Maybe mental mining. Here's a cross. That's a fun thing that's just on my desk that I didn't see coming. But yeah, so just did a lot of mining, a lot of down in the mines. I yearned for them, and I'm feeling good about it now. I'm feeling good. Let's do some grief stuff. So grief. That was like a 27-minute just tangent. No, making a reference to you working on your board off stream. Oh, sorry. Minecraft streamers cheating off stream. Sorry, I can't. In my defense, I can't really. So I did some hobby off screen. I did. I'm sorry. The varnishing is hard because I really do. Entire child inverted is in the room. Yeah, pretty much. I did a little bit of hobbying off stream, and I made the child inverted now. No, I'm trying to make sure like I'm not going to do anything off stream with grief, but like stuff like varnishing, I don't. Fuck. No, I do. I have the tools, and I have people who want to help me. I just need to do the thing. I also know a guy that can help me build my brand and build this into what I'm wanting it to be. His name is Dave Taylor, and he's already said, hey, let me know. I help with that kind of stuff. So I should probably hit him up. I'm going to hit up Dave because at this point in time, the best like photographer, film editor that I know has moved back to town. My buddy Sam needs something to work on as well, and he is a super helpful person to keep me focused and to keep me excited about what I'm working on, and always has been. So I have so many people that want to help me do the thing. I just need to stop holding myself back. Let's go, Dave. Dave is great. Mag 28 was a triumph. Oh, I love Mag 28. Or 28 Mag. What's Mag 28? I don't know about that one. But yeah, that's kind of where I am. Just a whole lot of thoughts going on in my head. So, with a whole lot of thoughts, heavy hearts and happy feet. Let's heavy hearts and happy feet. Also, I kind of came up with a little. I'm not gonna do it right now, but I did kind of have a little bit of a. So I mentioned wanting an outro, a little song, and one came to me yesterday in a Margot voice. Work your shit out in a healthy way. This is just how my dad carves the Buddha. Wink. So hopefully that's good. I don't know. It just kind of came to me. And I was just thinking that's pretty much the entirety of what I like to do and why I like to do is trying to work out my shit in a healthy way, aka carving the Buddha. So yeah, hopefully that was all right and you guys like that idea. If not, let me know. I'll in stream with Pick of Togram. I mean, that's always great. That would always be great. I need to find that model that I made of Togram. Okay, so grief. Oh boy. Make sure I got this dialed in. I really, I need to take a little bit of time and get my set up. That'd be a solid outro. Thank you. Maybe recreate the old keyboard cat meme with Margot. Oh man, I didn't even think about all that. Holy shit. Johnny's got like so many roots growing out. I need to deal with that too. I have a gnat infestation in a Johnny's tank, And I thought that the situation, this is not the answer. This is essentially the exact same answer that I made fun of the people who own the mall in my hometown did with building the wall. Instead of fixing the roof, they just built a wall. That's kind of what I did. I didn't deal with the gnats. I just completely sealed the enclosure so now gnats can't get out or in. However, they can replicate and reproduce ad nauseum. And that's not fixing the solution. That's just dealing with it because you don't have the mental bandwidth to deal with all the other shit. So clarity is very important, is what I'm pretty much trying to get at. And with grief, I think we've got the clarity that we need. I think at this point, it's just a matter of putting some skin on this whole thing. Put some skin on that thing. Margot Theremin said every outro. That's also such a good idea. I don't need to take on too much though, and I know that like getting the theremin reworked into not making sound but just recording. I can't stress enough. I have such a hard time with technology. Like the more that something can just be just click and go. Like I really love OBS from the little bit that I fucked with it because it didn't take much to get a little bit of an understanding, and then you just kind of wing it from there. OBS being there is just some green stuff on there, so let's go ahead and get that off. OBS being the program for streaming. It's pretty much what lets me talk to you guys. It takes a lot of all that knowledge that you need out. So yeah, I need to utilize the tools that I have in a better way to achieve the goal that I want to achieve, because circle jerking about it does not help anybody, and that's not what I'm about. So that's a long tangent, but I'm really, really excited to move forward. And what I'm working on now, I absolutely love. So it's just like, I don't need to hold back and try to let something happen. I need to just go with what I know is right. Because oftentimes you do know, but you need to just kind of see things from a different standpoint. Clarity. So let's put a little bit of skin on this old baby. Let's put some skin on this old baby. Like a chin strap, that'd be fun. Just a little bit of skin right here. Oh dear. That's good. Okay. Skin, 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 skin for the grief. Everybody loves them. Everybody loves grief. I'm just going to put a few little small drops to have it connect where I'm wanting it to. But I don't want to completely glue the whole thing down, because then we would not be able to pull the skin around. So, yeah, no, dark. That sounds awesome. I would love some little seed podcasts. I've not done any casting. I really would like to. I really need to get. Yeah, man, there's just so many things I'm like, man, I would love to do that. I would love to do that. I just need time. But I think a lot of people would really like to see the story that Ed and I were wanting to tell. And that it's what I've been wanting to do for a very long time. I just didn't think that I could. And also just it sucks when you feel like you've kind of been betrayed by something that you thought cared about you. And that's kind of how my relationship with Warhammer was. But again, they can change the rules, they can change the models, they can change so many things, but they can't take away what I like about it. And that's the thing that I really want to try and showcase. So that's about where we're wanting. Lot of a tangent. Huge dopamine spike. So bear with me on all of that. But I'm just feeling very good this morning and feeling very excited about the future and about having an idea of what the fuck I'm doing now. And being very firm. I guess that's it. Working towards something without an end goal is very not productive. So yeah, I don't know. Clarity, man. Oh boy. Grief. You are horrifying. And that's why everybody loves you. Mr. James Workshop is going to send his corporate hit team to take you out for enjoying their IP wrong. I'm sure they would love to. You're enjoying my game wrong. I'm James Workshop. Hello. Hi, I'm Jumbo. Are you sick and tired of people telling you how to play with your little toys? I know I sure as fuck am. Which is why, whenever my mom puts all the toys up in the toy box, I just go pull the ones out that I like. How dare you participate in my IP and not give me all your money? That's it. Yeah, it's just like, man. And again, if you like their models, buy their models. I'm not saying don't support them. I'm saying don't do stuff that you don't want to do because you feel pressured into doing it. That's fucked up. But along those lines, there's a whole lot of other options out there. And I want to make sure that I can showcase those for people that are interested in what I love, but don't know any other option. Man, this is going to be gnarly. My coworkers hadn't seen The Truman Show, so we had a watch party today, and we were going to watch The Fifth Element. I'm shocked they hadn't seen either. Man. So, yeah, The Truman Show scares the fuck out of me. And it's honestly, the amount of things that have happened to me personally where I'm just like, this seems too coincidental that I don't trust it. But it's absolutely, I'm sure, just the self-doubt. Like, self-doubt is fucked. It absolutely will make you not do things that you would love to do. It really will. I don't remember the last time I actually bought GW models directly from them. Oh man, I love the part where his wife is scared of him calling for help. A Titan, I think. Oh, hell yeah. No, I like some of their models. I don't like the price tag. I get that. I have not, I'm 100% saying don't buy their models. I'm not gonna take a stance on whether or not you should or shouldn't because I don't want to get any slander. I will say, I've shared my thoughts on a lot of their model design because they clearly, and I'm not saying it's not, it is 100% not the sculptors. It's not them who are the issue. It's the same thing with the fucking Thing prequel. It's just like that movie had gorgeous art. And I mean art. The actual aliens that they made and all the practical effects in that movie are gorgeous. And they're just covered in CGI, which is one of the most offensive things I can think of, is replacing actual art with something that can be replicated quickly, half-assed. And that's just, it's not how I do things. It's not how I think people like things to be done. But if you look up what that stuff looks like underneath the CGI, you will be very, very, very sad. I was. If you're here, you will be very sad. Because it's absolutely someone's art being covered by garbage. And I mean that as bluntly as possible. The alien that they designed that had functioning, like breathing and like eyes. It really was. They took a lot of what made the first movie so beautiful and wonderful, and just they covered it in CGI, which is just it's God, it's awful. It's just awful. I've wanted a box of the new Plastic Sisters models for some Wartime conversions for years, but like $80 or whatever for a box of 10 is fucking insane. That is crazy. That is actually insane. Damn. Yeah, like I can't stress the other options are so high. Like there's so many other options to get models that you really, really enjoy, and yeah, it's just I think they've survived by making people feel like they needed to have certain things in order to have fun, and I really want to show that that's not the case, because the things that I had the most fun with, they don't even make anymore. Like they're games that died a decade ago, and there definitely are people there that want to bring that back. Unfortunately, they're not the kind of people that get to make any decisions, and that's very frustrating. From someone that was in a job that they loved, that seemed perfect for them, and even when you get to the point of, oh yeah, this is my thing, I make the calls, finding out that you don't, that corporate still does, it's about as disheartening as it can be. And I can't change the world on a scale like to fix that everywhere, but I can do something about it. 1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a thumb war. Oh, good grief. You are getting real spoopy. So spoopy. One thing that really fucks me off about Warhammer is just the constant rules updates and rewrites and things getting cut out. I spent so much time making 100 or so tech files matching with pole axes and they just axe. Yeah, that. And that is why I do want to showcase, like, and that's the other thing, is it's just like, at this point, it's like, hey, what do I want? What do I need? And it's just like, I want to make the models that I want to play. I want to play a game that is fun. I want to tell stories, and I want to show people how I do all of that. And while the rules that are currently existing do not accommodate everything that I want to do, I know some of the best game designers in the industry at this point. Like, they're just my friends. So I should use that. I should utilize that tool, because we, as a community, deserve a game that is fun to play with whatever the hell that we want, so we can tell stories or do whatever we're wanting to get out of the game. And I want to show people how I do that. So instead of just trying to think of what should I show people? What do they like to see? I don't make content like this. It's just like, well, what the hell do I want to see? What do I think people would really value and gain something from? As far as what I can do with all this stuff that I love to do. And I think that's it. Showing a little bit of, what is the word? Autonomy. That's it. I can't stress enough, like the job that I had that I really loved, I worked so hard to get there, to the point that eventually I just had almost full autonomy, where they did not know what the hell I was doing, but they knew that I cared so much that I was doing something to move things forward in a positive manner. And then I slowly got to watch that get ripped apart by corporate America into distilling. They distilled every single thing that I could possibly find any enjoyment out of, that like made me think or made me feel special, into tedium. They took everything out of it. It's just so working through that, and thinking about, man, how do I want to give the people that I care about back what I had taken from me? I think Warhammer is a great option. Let me show you how I get my Warhammer back. I've heard some good things about one-page rules. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about one-page rules. There's a rough analog for Warhammer, has small read, and it seems okay. If you don't mind me asking, where were you working? If you don't feel comfortable, could you say what you did? I'm not going to say. I don't want any slander or anything like that against I don't want to get sued. I worked in telecom though. I designed cell phone sites, cell phone towers. The entire network of Central Kentucky at one point was my baby. Um, yeah, that's what I used to do. So I am used to making plans that take years to come to fruition and seeing them from an overall standpoint, but also obsessing about them, like learning the name of every tree while keeping the entire forest in mind. It's just kind of how my brain works. It's what I like to do. I get dopamine through that. I can really go to town on hyper focusing, and that is a real world application of my skills that I just refuse to use now because I can't use it for good because the people that make the actual decisions don't give a shit about people. That's really it. And then just seeing that fully in my hobby, my church, my house, it sickens me, and I want to fix it. So I think I know how to do it, and I think I just need to show how I would actually do the thing. And I think people would probably gain, a little bit of enjoyment out of all that. Hopefully that was a good enough answer to that question. Again, I don't want to be the target of some corporate bullshit. It's just like I'm so not talking shit. It's not just one company. That's how the corporations work. At the end of the day, it's just numbers. And that's a really fucked up way to look at anything. And I think you really have to give away a lot of your humanity in order to be able to do that. At least that's my take. Oh boy, grief. Oh, good grief. Nice, man. Sounds insane. Never even considered who does that behind the scene. Yeah, these streams have been super inspiring to creating some original art pieces. It's nice just to get out of the funk and make something unique and brand new. No, great. And yeah, I can't stress enough, like, I did not intend, agree, Dark, I've been craving making a Scabs figure. Hell yeah, go for it. No, I love, and again, there's so many good, fun games. Like, if you're just wanting to make something and play a game and have fun and then be able to go back and have fun with that, like, whenever you want, Scabs is a wonderful game. There's a lot to be had there, and there's just something so great about taking literal trash and making it into something that has meaning to you and is important. I've always found that really, really rewarding. And honestly, at the very, 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 very beginning of that whole thing was in 4th grade. I had a teacher my art teacher, I asked her if she could help me figure out how to make buildings out of cardstock or out of paper, because I wanted to pretty much replicate the building at the end of The Lost World, because I loved Jurassic Park and I had all these toys. I love junk aesthetic. And I just needed to learn the fundamentals of how to make products look like what I needed them to in my head. So from there, it was just, learning, oh yeah, if you cut it in this shape, it'll fold and it'll form like this. And since that day, I've just been kind of doing that thing, but using different mediums and really looking at what's the quickest way to get the thing out of my head and onto the paper, the board, the table, reality. How do I get it out of here and bring it into reality? How do I manifest that? And that's really one of the things I love so much about all of this, is just being able to get these ideas and these stories that are in my head out, and to be able to share them with other people, because it's the kind of stuff that I wish I could stop having it blasted into my brain all the time, just to have a little bit of self-control over myself. But I wouldn't trade it away for anything. It truly is something that's just like, yep, it's just mine and it's my choice to share. And that is what makes sharing it so great. So, and I think, again, instead of asking the internet in a void, what do you guys want to see? Let me show you what I think you want to see, because it's what I enjoy. It's what I love. And I'm not saying asking the internet and avoid you all. I mean, like, I suck at Reddit. I don't know. I don't understand it at all. So it's just like, while it would be nice to be able to do stuff on there and try to get other people to see what I'm trying to do, I just don't have that skill set. But I do have the skill set to do what I want to do, and I just need to do it. And I think if I do that, people will just kind of make their way here, as a lot of you did. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling very good today. Had a lot of breakthrough. There's a guy on YouTube who makes sculptures out of acorns. He calls them decoins and poses them and takes pictures of birds and squirrels and insects interacting with his work. Feels real. I love that. I absolutely love that. At one point in time, my buddy Alan lived at a cabin with our friend Ed. And while he was just out there living in a cabin, he got, for like, I don't know how long it took him, but he found so many cool bugs, dead bugs, that would just like wind up in the garage, and then they would die, and he'd be like, oh man, look at this crazy cool dead bug. And he just started collecting them. And then eventually one day he was like, yeah, I don't know why, I just kind of threw together this little diorama made of like sticks and stuff on kind of like a little pedestal with just a bunch of bugs. And it looked really good. And it's just like, man, I think you might be going a little crazy out there, and that's fine. You do you. You gotta get the crazy out somehow. But I think you've created art. Other people might be like, that's some psycho stuff. I'm here for it. Maybe turning bugs into, like the movie Epic, turning bugs into armor. I've not seen Epic. But I love all of that. I love the idea of just taking dead things, trash things, which is, yeah, part of the reason why, like, Ed Gein is just like, man, I wish that we had, I wish strongly that we had a understanding of, you know, mental health during the time, because I will never know what the hell that person was trying to do. He was clearly doing something, but no one made him feel comfortable enough to talk about like what was wrong with him. So we just won't know. We're never going to know what he was doing. And as someone who just feels compelled to build things, I don't use dead bodies. That's insane. But I would have liked to have known, like, hey, what was going on in his head? Because that seems like something that people who like to build things should know. Yeah, watch out for that. Space madness, you know what I mean? I'm really liking that face. That's a face only this daddy could love. Well, and maybe other people. Everyone could love grief. Everybody loves grief. What the hell am I talking about? Oh boy. Okay. Come on, water bottle. I think he needs some skin still attached to his torso. I absolutely know that the legs I need to extend out further. I've already made that absolute. It has to happen in my head because the legs are just too small. They really need to be proportionate. Oh, good grief. What is this thing or that thing? So this is grief. Grief is a demon or a godling, half of a whole. He is we'll just say it's a demon. It's a demon. It's a skeleton-looking root tree. Yeah, so the roots, the trees, will eventually be painted, and they will look something more akin to, I'll just grab the child inverted. This is the other half. So this is a self-portrait. The two of these are pretty much two halves of a whole. Kind of attractive, not gonna lie. Well, thank you. So this is the child inverted. And the wood that you see on Grief is the wood that I use for the child inverted's back and for the gate. It's a reoccurring theme that I really like to use with this whole group. But the concept was I needed to make a god or a demon for a story that we were telling last year. And at the same time, I also needed to process a whole lot of stuff. So, in a bout of extreme grief and narcissism, I just kind of played around in my trauma vault for a damn near week. Not healthy even remotely. Not even remotely. But it did help me kind of bring things out that I really clearly needed to get out. And by doing so, I was able to use really the emotions and the traumas of my own to create things that I think resonate with other people, because they're on such a primal level, which is what demons in Warhammer lore are supposed to be. They are supposed to be the manifestation of emotion, of us. They're supposed to be a twisted reflection of us. So I think I feel like I did a really good job, and it helped me process a lot of stuff. So this is grief, though. And it took me about a year to be able to be like, I think I'm ready to tackle that, because I just did not have the bandwidth to deal with all of the stuff that happened in the past year. It just pretty much broke me. And trying to get back to being okay, in a very long process. But one of the biggest things was making these and talking about why I made them, what they represent, discussing things, and just kind of coming to terms with them. And a lot of people have found, solace, support. They have found, community, or feeling just a little bit less alone. And I want to do that. I want to do anything positive like that I can. So, wow, that's very deep. Thanks for sharing it to us. No problem. Also, welcome, Aqua Tarkus and Conveyor Belt. Yeah, looks way too nice for it to be grief, in my opinion, but okay. 10-minute break, BRB, stay weird. Well, it's going to be a lot more fleshy. This is all going to be painted very much similar to this vibe. This is the Paramour. The Paramour and Grief are siblings to some extent. And this one is not finished. The only one that is finished so far is Frustration, which I can grab Frustration just to bring you up to speed. This is actually the model that I'm not allowed to go and probably be in Golden Demon anymore, because I broke a lot of the rules. And I kind of entered it as a big middle finger. But this is Frustration, and it is my take and commentary on toxic male masculinity. But yeah, Frustration's fun. Pretty fun. Not for everybody. Not everybody likes really, really, really fucked up things. But Grief will be a lot more messed up. Yeah. Wow, that's very deep. Thanks for sharing to us. This is made of clay. So this, we started with wire, just some wire and aluminum foil, and then epoxy sculpt I put over top of that. The muscle fibers are from Barbie hair. That's so cool, dude. Thank you. But yeah, it's smiling. I guess it does kind of look nice. It's smiling and laughing because it likes to tell grief jokes. It is the Jester King. And honestly, it's a reflection of my own narcissism, of being able to see, hey, I can give you an answer to problems, but people don't really want problems solved. And most problems are not problems, they're choices that other people make. So in order to deal with the things that we need, you kind of need to put on a jester cap and play the role that you're supposed to play, but be able to see that the whole thing is a fucking joke. And Grief is kind of my take on that. So we've got a crucified giant demon that has pulled itself down from whatever cross it, obviously nailed itself to, because that's part of the joke. It's hollow, because Grief is hollow. And it's also part of the first act. If you've met me in person at any convention or whatnot, I probably came up and I did the opening bit of Grief, which is gutting myself and telling you about all the trauma that I've had go in my life in the past year. And then what I like to do with that and how I'm trying to make the world a better place. So it's a lot of metaphorical, a lot of symbolism in all the demons. Which again, it's just they're supposed to be emotion made manifest. So that is it. As far as it looks too nice. It's anything but. It's absolutely. It's blinded itself. It has nailed its mouth open, so it can't do anything other than smile and laugh and tell jokes that no one else really gets. Um, and then it drags itself because it has doesn't have the legs to carry itself, the legs to stand on. Grief does not carry its own weight uh, very well. So yeah, it's just a lot of that. There's a lot of symbolism, but it is honestly really just the embodiment of me coming to terms with death, of people that were very close to me, a lot of people, um, and just trying to move past that and trying to process all of that. So yeah, that's grief. And this one is a technically it's a commission. So yeah, it's the only one that I like the idea of it not being here because it fits very much lore wise. It is exiled. It's not truly a member of the king or the court that I've made because it's like the other half of a god. Bam! Look at me finishing coffee while it's still kind of warm, lukewarm coffee. So yeah, let's get to sopping this bad boy up. Sop. And we're just putting a lot of watered down PVA glue on here. And by getting this nice and wet, ooh, we riot. What are we? Oh, the coffee. I'm so sorry. I know that everyone really likes the bit where I drink cold coffee and I'm upset about it. And it's not a bit, it's just what happens because I forget to drink the coffee. But again, that's one of the dangers of like doing something that you really like doing because then you get lost in hyper focusing and you have to have a healthy work balance. Whether it's like doing something you don't love or something you do love. Even more so if it's something you do love. Taking time to think and get clarity is very handy. And I can, get on my soapbox about it here all I want, but if I don't practice what I am yapping about, then how do you know that you should listen to it? But it's hard. We're gonna let that kind of sit for a second. I came here for cold coffee time and I was robbed of that experience. Very pretty. Do you know the game Blasphemous? Your creation could be a boss enemy there. I love Blasphemous. Yeah, no, I'm currently playing through 2, but I love Blasphemous. Very good game. It does look a bit like Melchiades, the exhumed archbishop. I don't remember him, but I can look that up. Let me see. I need to let this sit for just a second anyway. So let me pop up what that looks like. But no, I do love Blasphemous. It's a very good grim dark game. The aesthetic is just wonderful. There we go. Getting that skin right in there in the eye socket. And letting this dry just a little bit to keep it in shape. I actually might want to put some super glue. Because now that it's wet, super glue will allow it to harden in the spots that I want while kind of holding it pinched a little bit. Getting super glue wet is not necessarily the best way to go about doing things. But at certain times, if you're manipulating whatnot, let me find a picture of that guy. Melchiades, the exhumed Archbishop. M-E-L. Oh, Eli, did you enjoy my concussed ranting about the Forever Winter last night? I reread it this morning. I didn't realize how much I typed. I have not had a chance to look at it yet. I absolutely will, though. I promise. I was very, very sad when I... Okay, Melchiades, Blasphemous. Oh, hey, yeah. No, I remember this guy. Yeah. No, I do remember him. He is one of the final bosses, right, of the first one. Not the final, but he's towards the end. No, that's great. No, I love so many of the bosses in Blasphemous are just great. It really is such a good, so much good aesthetics, and just concept art. The concept art book for the first one, I really wish they had made it more broadly available. Brace yourself. You can definitely tell I was concussed. Let me know. I think that's green stuff. Oh wait, is it my camera or is the skull is kind of mint green, specifically the teeth? Are you still gonna paint it? Oh yeah, so this is not, there's no paint on here. That the green is sculpted. It's all green stuff. So before I started to put the skin on there, which the skin is the way that I do skin. Typically, if I want it to be able to be pulled off, if I want to have something kind of being torn away, slothing away, and have a very realistic texture or proportioning, I use paper, packing paper specifically. I have an obscene amount at this point that I like to just keep on hand because for this kind of stuff, it's great. I also use it for some robes, some parchment, that kind of stuff, depending on the application on the model. But the skin is definitely probably my favorite way to use it. I used it on the Child Inverted, which is the big baby. I used it on the Paramour. I don't think there's any on Frustration, Spite, or the Concubine. But yeah, also I really need to finish the thing that I was making for Tim because, again, when you meet people that you really value what they make, and they value what you make, you should make the thing. You should make friends when you can. So green stuff. I don't know about epoxy and stuff, so I thought this was clay. Yeah. So this is going to be epoxy sculpt, which is a 2-part clay. I'll go ahead and show that now, just because we're on the subject of it, and I'm waiting for that glue to dry a little bit. So this would be epoxy sculpt. It is my favorite clay. It's made by a company called Aves, and this is Kneadatite, also known as green stuff. It is a 2-part epoxy. This is a 2-part, I think, just epoxy clay. I don't know if it's actually an epoxy. I think Aves sculpting clay is just sculpting clay. Kneadatite is a 2-part epoxy, and I don't remember what the original use of it is. I don't know if I've ever actually found an original use of it. But it's not like most 2-part epoxies where it's just like once you mix them, it's like, yep, don't breathe that in. It's going to dry super crazy fast. But a lot of sculpting, and hey, here's something that I do not have paint on yet that has a little bit. You can see all the green here. That is just green stuff mixed about 50-50 with Aves epoxy sculpt, whereas the legs are all just epoxy sculpt. Epoxy sculpt is wonderful. It is really, really, really good for putting in the foundation. As far as detail, green stuff is really, really, really good at holding detail. Unfortunately, it's also kind of like sculpting with chewing gum. But my buddy Nick, Mr. Pink, aka Modern Synthesist, is a very big proponent of, hey, mix your green stuff with, oh man, so it's like very professional stuff. Thank you. Yeah, it's Aves epoxy sculpt is pretty nice. It's definitely my favorite. Looking good, Grief, you too. Thank you. So by mixing green stuff and Kneadatite, which again, if you're buying it, buy it online as Kneadatite, Knead, Need, ATITE, metatite, because it will be a lot cheaper because it won't be branded by someone else that is essentially buying it, cutting it into a third, and then selling it at the same price. Milliput and green stuff are my go-to products. Milliput is a delightful resource. I've not done anything with Milliput yet. I know Johnny likes Milliput a lot, or at least I think he does. I'm pretty sure that's what he uses. But I also know that Johnny's just like, man, I hate green stuff. I hate sculpting. Johnny also very much is just like, I'll figure out a different way. I don't want to start sculpting. I love sculpting. It's one of my favorite things, just making something out of nothing. And sometimes it's just like, I know that it'll be quicker to just sculpt it myself than to try and find the right piece, which, as you can see, just from me attempting to try and clean up a little bit, the amount of stuff that I've just hacked to little bitty bits. I know that's what Simso uses. Hell yeah, you can mix green stuff and Milliput together. It makes a super fun putty to use, and it's super, super easy to smooth out. Nice. You can also drill, tap, and sand super easy. So that's the main thing that you get by mixing Aves epoxy sculpt is you can sand Aves. You cannot sand green stuff by itself. If you do, it will ruin whatever the hell you were trying to do because it makes it very fuzzy. It just does not cure the same way that a clay does because it's an epoxy. But by mixing it together, you get the best of both worlds where you now have something that can be sanded, but it can now also hold very, very fine detail. So yeah, it's really the best of both worlds. I've not messed with Milliput, but I definitely should try some. I know Simso does love Milliput. I need to take a page from his book and go get some, I guess. But he has a very fun video about how to steal Milliput from Hobby Lobby. Yeah, that's the joke. That's the bit. I'll be right back. Let me see. I'm waiting on that glue to dry just a little bit. I'm also thinking about where I want the skin to go. I think we definitely want the skin on the chest to be very tattered. So probably add a little bit on there. Greeblin and Grebo are going pretty well. Oh yeah, one last thing I'll show during the show and tell. I have the first part of the apps printed. The very first part, this is just one piece. I had to cut it into two pieces because it's too damn big. But this is the apps, APSE apps, the central part of the cathedral. There are 4 of these that link together, and in the center there is a pulpit with a sarcophagus underneath of like some saint. So it is now, I've got Greeblin and Grebo printing the next piece. So hopefully in like 2 days I will have the ground floor printed and I can start printing out the other parts. But I'm really, really excited about it, as with all the parts that I've printed out. Hexbricks is amazing. His work is wonderful. Grief, get back here. So, now that we got some skin on his face, let's do a little bit of pulling. And we probably want to get a little bit wetter, because it's now got a little bit of that glue dried in there, so it's going to be firmer and easier to work with. But we really kind of want it almost sopping wet, because then it's going to tear really well and pull. Yeah, he will look a lot scarier once we get some paint on here. His creations are his babies. So do you sell your creations, or do you do art exhibits? Also, if you make more. Okay, man, there's a whole lot in here. Couldn't use that to make some messed up things intentionally, or is it just too bad to be used? Also, if you mix more yellow than blue in your green stuff, it's 10 times used. Yes, so the blue essentially makes it. Blue is, I think, the density, whereas like I think yellow is almost the activator in it. Take. So do you sell your creations, or so I do a little bit of both. Mainly I love storytelling, so like making stuff and then showcasing it is really the goal of like what I'm wanting to do. I really kind of want to show literally every step of what I love, from hey, I came up with an idea, to how I brought that idea out of my head, which is another, I need to finish the video where I show how I pretty much just thought of that boat and then made it out of trash, and then it was ready to be played with in a game the next day. It was still wet. The paint was still wet, but that I can't do anything about that. But I do commissions every now and then, which I can show. One of the first ones that I did for the old possum, and I can also show Shankly's. So I do a little bit of both. Commissions are mainly a thing that every now and then I need to, until I really get enough support, I really need to have some way of paying the bills. But it does take away time that I would use on other things. But this is one of my absolute favorite models I've ever built. All the green is a mix of epoxy sculpt and green stuff. The gold would be the foil from a wine bottle, and then all the metal is a mix of guitar strings, PCB port, like PCB, I think that's the right thing. Yeah, PCB slot ports. I use those a lot, and in different ways. So right here we've got one, that's the female end, and then this is the male end right there. So those actually would slot together. The pistons, all these little pistons are made from Albion alloys, very small, stackable metal tubing. And then the actual driving, the mechanic part of the piston is a very small nail that I cut in half, which a lot of those other nails the other halves end up sticking through there. But yeah, guitar string, a lot of just wire, and then even more guitar strings. All the very small nails are guitar strings. But this is one of the funnest things I've ever made. The fingers were made using, again, very small nails. So I sculpted flesh around the hand. Same thing with the arm. Any time that I really need to make sure that something is going to be stable, I like to use metal because it's oh, thank you. Oh my baby boy. I know, he's so good. I'm so excited to work on more of this kind of stuff. I love anything that's just like, hey, you have free reign. Which is the same thing essentially that Shankly did with his. Shankly gave me a overall topic, but then said, I want to see what you will make. And this is a Caldor Priest, which, man, that the chainsaw, or technically it's an eviscerator. So eviscerators are one of my favorite things in Warhammer. Just a giant two-handed chainsaw. However, I've always been not too thrilled about weapons not being able to look like how I want them to. The teeth or the blade is always too thick. So I took matters into my own hands, and I made my own little chainsaw teeth. And I learned a lot about how to do it moving forward. But for a first attempt, I think it was really good. Yeah, it's very fun. I can't even picture myself making something that tiny. I'm too clumsy. You're crazy. It's a lot. It's a lot of. I just enjoy it. I love making something very small and very detailed. The head for the commission that I'm currently working on, which is this guy, or this lass, is for Trench Crusade for the Wire Brothers. And this is the head that is going to go on it, which is something that I've been wanting to mess with for a long time. But let me, whoop, there we go. So these teeth are real teeth. They are from a rat or a mouse or something that an owl killed. And I harvested all the bones from an owl pellet. But yeah, so essentially I took a skull, I cut it in half, split it apart, not an animal skull, but a piece of plastic, a plastic skull, split it in half, and then started to green stuff around where I wanted the overall shape. I am slowly sinking down. My chair. One of the earliest hobby hangouts I I fixed my chair, but it looks like it's going that way again. But eventually, when we get closer to being done with the face, this cross that I've made by cutting out a little sheet of brass will fit right over top of those spikes. And that is because in the lore, this is a communicant. It is someone that has consumed the flesh of a metachrist, which is essentially a clone of Jesus, most likely, or something kind of like it. And they have communicated, they've done communion, they have consumed its flesh, and now they have its ability to regenerate. But that also means that they get hugely, distorted and, deformed mutations, just rampant. You don't typically get the ability to fix yourself without also a lot of downsides. But in the lore, they hammer an iron cross into their eyes and into their face because they see better, they see more clearly, blinded and being driven by faith. And it's kind of hard. I don't want to dick around with the Zoom all morning, but I made sure to where you would hammer that in the eyes, the forehead, and in the lower jaw. That would be where the nail in the official models, that would be, which is not very much. If you were really strong, you could open your jaw and it would just rip through the lower mandible, right through there. So that's what I did. I pretty much have the bottom of that cross will have a nail sticking out, and the lip has been split at the bottom to where it has just been pulled through. But yeah, that is a commission for my very, very wonderful friends, the Wires, between the both of me. Hey, Shankly, I've been talking all about you this morning. Let's see. Welcome. I can't even picture making something so tiny. I'm too clumsy, crazy. That's also why Scabs appeals to me. Yeah, no, that's too tiny. Yeah, that's an insane amount of micro, like hyper micro detailing, and I love it. It's just, it's very fun. It's very much, again, it's really, come on now. It is absolutely just, it's a very zen thing for me. Like looking at something that is so small that I have to really focus, which is, again, it's not a sales pitch. I love that little vise. It's the only thing I've ever encountered tool-wise that is made for the absolute insanity. Does it involve me with a dead donkey? Dead ass. It did not, but it could. Well, not entirely, because I was showing off the model I made for you with a two-handed chainsaw, which was, as we all know, the first thing that went into my mind of how do you get a dead donkey out of the house? Well, chainsaw. That's just the first thing that comes to mind. It's just well, who am I kidding? We've already ruined the house. We've had a donkey live in it for a year. You don't have a donkey in your house for a year without ruining the house. It's time to just get this shit done. I gotta be honest though, I just burned the whole thing down. That's how I would. That was the first thing I said is, why have they not just, the donkey's now dead. There's now nothing in the house that's filled with donkey poop except the dead donkey. Give it a Jedi funeral. Let that donkey be Darth Vader in its final act. Redemption arc. And that's just my 2 cents, Dead donkey. Yeah. Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah, I'm really loving that. I'm having to stop myself. I had to stop myself when I was working on it because I just wanted to keep working on it. But it's just I absolutely can just end up circle jerking forever about what I'm working on. I know who I am. Again, when you have something that's man, this is really satisfying to do, it just makes me happy. Finding a healthy balance and a place to be yeah, this is good. This is good. I could do more, but I don't need to do more. That is often hard, especially for me. So, okay. at this point, I'll zoom in a little bit more so we can get a better look. Also, I'm gonna get that piece of wood. I think, ironically, that the sphere vise that I got might not work for Grief because Grief is too big. I think I have stepped out of the realm of it's still a miniature, circle jerking forever. He has frustration, looks mad. Besides Blasphemous Creation gives me Fear and Hunger vibes. I'm not familiar with Fear and Hunger. So Grief is looking incredible. Thank you so much. No, I'm really, really excited about it. I'm really, really pleased with how it's coming along. I need to get a little bit of super glue right there. And that should sink through because now it's wet. The super glue should be able to go through the barrier. If not, though, I might need to raise this just a little bit and put some right there. It really should stick there, though. I'm gonna put just a little bit there, just in case. You're making me want to sculpt. You should. You should sculpt. If you love oils, it's okay, Eli. I've only told you gotta play Fear and Hunger 2 times. I'm putting it on the to-do list. I'm so sorry, Possum. To-do list. Fear and Hunger 2. I don't know why Hunger autocorrected to Gunger. G-U-N-G-R. I have the Gunger. I know. I'm so sorry, Possum. There's so many things. There's too many things I want to do and I need to do. I do need to look into that, though, because I'm sure that you very much are correct. You know what I like. Y'all know what I like. That's good. I don't want that to go away. Give me that. Ah, Gunger. I am familiar. Hermione Gunger. Hermione Gunger. My favorite. Hermione Gunger, my favorite character. I can't be the only one who also thought that her name was Hermione, right? If you've never seen that name. There we go. Just a little bit off the top, eh, Grief? And then, but yeah, if you enjoy oil painting, sculpting is very, very in a similar kind of like how it works, which I think might be my hang up with oil paints is I also struggle with sculpting, and I know Nick Cordall, watch out for the Gunger bread, man. Termina is cool. I'm not familiar with Termina either. Is Termina another game? I posted in the Discord about, that's good. And this is where we lock it in. Lock it in with the super glue. Oil paints are so fun. I feel like it's just my anxiety that leads me to like struggle with them because you can only do so much before you have to like let it sit as far as sculpting. But with oil paints, like sealing and varnishing, I love to work in layers, but knowing enough about when I can keep going and when I have to stop for preservation of what I'm working on is such a big thing. But no, that I'm sure I would. Everyone that I know who loves oil paints is just like, how do you not love oil paints? It's kind of like, it's just a very different. I'm just so much more comfortable with building than I am with painting. I enjoy painting, and I really enjoy bringing certain things to like fruition and like being like, yeah, it's done now. But it really, painting is often easy for me to get. That is awful. Also, oh boy, I love the jingle bells. I don't know if they're gonna want the jingle bells glued in space. No Terminus, Fear and Hunger 2. Oh, hell yeah. Would you make Grief more fleshy? So, yeah, essentially, all the brown that is hanging off is skin that has, like, peeled and fell away. And I'm probably going to have some strands of skin coming down to like show where it's still slightly intact. Um, but I definitely wanted it to be very much degloved, which is kind of the whole thing with the paramour. The paramour, it's supposed to be apparent that the paramour is, and again, the paramour is not finished. The face is pretty much locked in, but the rest of the body still has a lot of the, whenever I was making these, I knew that I would not be able to finish them in time, so I tried to get the key aspects of how demons are described in the lore, which is that you can't look at them directly. They always look a little bit off, but you always get a impression of teeth, claws, eyes, like monstrousness, but you can't really look at them because they are anathema to this reality. They don't fit in. So I really kind of wanted them to have an extremely clunky texture, almost pixelated, like they weren't fully in reality, because I knew that one, they were, lore-wise, they were not supposed to fully be here. The whole thing came down to they were trying, it was like almost like a psychic half-birth of the child inverted, and all of the demons that I'm making, except for Grief, are, I consider them part of the harem or part of the court of the child inverted. So they're all essentially manifestations of its own kind of thing. The brown is like dried bones, and the torso is cool. It's like dried, but it still has flesh. It doesn't look finished. It probably isn't. Yeah, I really like Grief. Thank you. No, thank you all. Yeah, that's the thing. If it doesn't look like, oh man, that's done, then I'm probably still working on it. And it takes a long time to do things intentionally to the standard that I want. Man, that face is really, really gnarly. The skin is going to look so good. I really like this half that I've gotten dialed in this morning. That's looking really good. I need to adjust over here. Good grief. Yeah, the wood eventually will be black, like the blackest black that it can be. Using Musuo black, which is probably my favorite unusual paint. I use it a lot, especially with all of these. But Musuo black, that is good. Musuo black is a type of almost Vanta black. Back to work. Bye, Shankly. Thanks for stopping by, friend. I will text you, hit you up later. Yeah, this is Musuo black. It's a much easier to get a hold of, like Vanta black, essentially. Like, you just call it what it is. I have black, I think 4.0. I have black 4.0, which I am not a fan of. It's supposed to be the blackest black, the blackest paint in the universe. It is extremely black, but it also is so thick that for my uses, I have to really think about when to use it. Musuo black is very, very, very workable, but there's a lot of points that I can't really show without like proper lighting and stuff on the child inverted specifically, that the inside, the interior of the wood, where there's like little holes and stuff, and then same thing with the gate. They're all painted with Musuo black. Actually, I can show with the eyes on the paramour. That's Musuo black. So yeah, Musuo black. And then if anyone knows how to pronunciate that better, please let me know. Yeah, so I thought about that. The texture is just so, I don't even know how to describe it, but that's the eyes. So the eyes on the paramour are done with Musuo black. So they look bottomless, like just, they've completely, like, it makes things two-dimensional. And I did not cover this one in gloss. Eventually, I might put like a little bit of semi-gloss on there once I get to finishing this one. Also, it's supposed to be wearing skins. This thing does not have a skin of its own. It just wears whatever outfit the child wants it to. And it's just covered in O-rings. It's supposed to be, yeah, it's the Paramore. It is what it is. Yeah, essentially a culmination of me dealing with parts of myself and then taking them to where it's like, oh, I'm not into that anymore. A step further to where it's just like, that's not good. And a step further to where it's like, okay, that is really upsetting. And then a step further that I don't even want to look at it or think about it. And that is where the idea of the Paramore came from. But yeah, it's supposed to be essentially bending its leg in a very unnatural way, to the point that it breaks the bone and just keeps bending it. But yeah, it is the chosen champion of the child inverted, and all of these are based in order to be used, as we were talking about earlier. They were initially done with the intention of being able to use them in Horse Heresy 2.0 as a Demons of the Ruinstorm army. So while they are all individual art pieces, they also all had a end goal that I wanted to use them for. So yeah, that's a whole lot of conversation today, and it's good. It's good. Thank you all for questions and whatnot. I love talking about stuff. Love working on stuff. But yeah, it definitely, I think I could use that text. It's so, I don't know. I feel like the best application for it would be something that is not going to be almost terrain. I think terrain is probably where I'm going to be using it the most. Anywhere that I need to make look like an abyss or a void, I think it would be really good at that. There we go. Get it, Grief. Maybe pull a little bit right there. Yeah. That's good. I'm not shit. Right now it looks like it's breaking its leg to look like a birch tree camo. I like that. Yeah, it's so part of it. It was supposed to be like a pirouette, and that's a whole other thing. Was trying to figure out how do you get something like this to balance on a base when it is at such a unnatural angle. Which again, it's too big. Let me put it there, and I'll zoom out. So yeah, to let you get a full look at this thing, it is at a very, very, very unrealistic angle, and I wanted to really showcase how other these things really are. And I thought that having it be able to hold itself and do a pirouette at probably a 60-degree angle is just a very, hey, Basic Brush, welcome, would be a very good explanation of that. That yeah, this thing is very unnatural and then otherworldly. And the way that I achieved that was essentially by running a piece of wire up through the foot, and that wire actually goes all the way up through here, so I can actually, as gruesome looking in a good way. Thank you. I love the Paramore. It is very, very much one of the most upsetting things I've ever made. I do think that Grief will probably surpass it in how disturbing it will be once it's done. But this one's also not done. It's going to have a lot more flayed skin flailing behind it. Michael Jackson pose. Yeah. It's just essentially it's supposed to be a very. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, it's very much the. But I also wanted it to be very much like a dancer. So essentially, it's just doing these crazy, unnatural pirouettes across the battlefield, not bound by the laws of physics, and just kind of doing a big joke dance play. Like it's just very. The Child Inverted is a being made of essentially spite made manifest. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit of lore about that and why the Paramore looks the way it does. But yeah. Getting back to the old griefster. Let's pull that skin up. Oh, yeah, we want that to be nice and wet. That way we can start pulling. Right where the lip is joined, we're gonna pull away. And super glue should hold that in place. It does. Did not get it wet enough though. But that is all right. There we go. Someone mentioned earlier, grief was kind of attractive, and it is in the Little Mermaid pose. So I kind of get the, it's like, it is a very sensual pose. Which is intentional. Not the Little Mermaid reference, but I did joke about that very much the moment that I think we all made that connection. Like, oh man, it's like a Little Mermaid. Yeah. How often do you find yourself starting the entire project over, or if you have at all? So, yeah. It depends. It depends. I mean, Shankly's is a very key like example. I spent a good amount of time on the commission I did for Shankly, where I was trying to figure out what I wanted the overall look to look like, and eventually I hit the point that I was just, yeah, that's this one. So initially the body for Shankly's was this guy, and you can kind of see that he still has the hand there. It's kind of at it's supposed to be upside down, but yeah, there we go. That's the handle. So I started to work on that. Where's the line where you just say this isn't it? The moment that I'm like, I don't even know. There's pretty much, I'll work on it until I'm just like, I don't think I can make this, but let me see. I'll do my best, but then eventually I will hit a wall. And I don't know if there's not a set amount of time. It's more of the things I'm trying to use will not be able to convey what I'm trying to make. And I know that is when it's just like, okay, stop. How do you do the thing that you need it to do? Which is why a lot of my stuff takes a long time, is I like to use the parts that I need and make them work whether or not they're made for that. So I do a ton of cutting things up, and knowing, I see you saved those pieces. Are you planning on doing stuff with the rejects? Oh yeah. So all of the little bits that are like hanging out on the other side of my desk, and all of these, I throw very little away. Even the really small, just scraps that aren't anything. Typically, after I've gone through and looked to make sure that, yeah, I've got all the stuff that will be good, and I'll be able to use intentionally, I'll save that in like its own little bag and separated it by a group. But then everything else that's just like, that's probably just scrap. It goes into the dirt from the bin, trash from the floor cup, which is this guy. And it will be used for texturing, which, yeah, dirt from the bin, trash from the floor. This is where a lot of the shavings and clippings end up. So yeah, there's just a lot of sand, a lot of anything that I'm working on that whenever I'm, also that foam, the foam is not good. Yeah, waste not, want not. Really try to do that as much as possible. As far as what I do with all the little pieces, typically I have an entire wall of just like bits. Which these are all bits that are intentionally saved for my Emperor's Children. So again, I've already done so much work to prepare for finishing these guys, and I know that people want to see them. But I will take all the things that are very small that I've made and then I don't have time to use or whatnot, like these hooks. A lot of the, actually those are not hooks, those are, no, yeah, they are hooks. They are hooks that I've essentially made for the intention and why they do not have a curl. They are made to go around armor plates or in the bottom of a skull, so the hook kind of hangs out the bottom. But yeah, anything that I know will be very key. And then here's some hooks that I made that actually are hooks. Very similar to, I'll show you, the ones that I used on the main character for my Emperor's Children. This guy. So yeah, with this, I used, and see a couple of them have already broken. There's one right there. I tried to use resin hooks, which that takes a while as well. But the barbed wire, there's one of the hooks that I made. By taking a hook and cutting a skull, fitting it through, and then bending the hook the way that I need, I can make sure that it looks exactly like what I want. And I don't fiddle around with trying to make resin or a piece of plastic work, because they will break. Resin breaks very easily. It's all pretty much just knowing how much something needs to have as far as like rigidity and structure and strength. And that really just comes from time. The more you do weird stuff with weird things, the more you learn how often and when to use what. Yeah, I'm really happy with this one. The cloak is still one of my favorite cloaks I've ever made. And that was made from cutting a bunch of pieces of foil from a wine bottle, again, into, thank you. Yeah, no, the stitching was, yeah, it was nuts. So cutting a bunch of square pieces and then using, where is it? Where's my poker? Here it is. Using a tool like this, but I think I even went further than that. I think those holes, yep, those holes are even smaller. I think I pretty much took a very small guitar string. It would be a high E on a set of 11s probably, or 10s. Which I said that, I don't play 10s. I play 11s, sometimes I play 12s, but I like thicker strings. So I don't really have any 9s, which would be just a little bit thinner. But taking that and then putting it into a pin vise, something like this, where I know it will hold it very tight, and then just taking the time to go around and just punch holes, because the foil is strong enough to hold its shape as long as I did it deep enough in, but the moment you try to actually push it through to stitch it, it will tear, which is honestly kind of where some of these, you can't see it from there, but on the bottom, I did start to try and stitch parts, and I think that that's where I ended up using the pieces. I was like, okay, well, I ruined that, but I can turn it upside down and I don't waste all the other dots that I pushed. And then I just took very thin copper wire and literally stitched it through the same gauge. It's probably 30 or 32. Let's see. I dropped it. That's 32. This is, I'd say they're both 32. I would guess that these are both 32. And that is about the same gauge that I used on here for the wire, for the threads. Depending again on how often it's going to be moved, how intense I need it to be as far as strength, that will determine whether I use foil or thread, because I do a lot of stuff with thread, especially with like Shankly's priest has a bunch of rope tied to its waist, and I made that from very small thread, and then I made a jig so I could make rope ties, because especially for 1490 Doom, those are very handy. But making things for anyone that's just trying to look like they are just trying to get by in an awful situation, rope is always something that they probably will have. But yeah, so I'm really stoked to finally have a reason to finish the models that I spent so much time on. So I'm really, really, really excited to show that to everybody. But I have to finish my other engagements that I have committed to. I'm a man of my word. So I want to pull that just a little bit. Yeah. Okay. And I want to get this wet. A little bit wetter. Again, for this kind of stuff, the wetter it is, the better it will be for pulling. Man, shit. Okay, sorry. I got to get better at making sure that I have everything centered and everything zoomed in before I start going back at it. But also, holy shit, it's 9:52. I forgot to take a break, but chat has been awesome today. I've not felt like I needed one. I've also been walking around. I do have to pee though. Yeah, getting that lip pulling down is good. There we go. Yep. And we want to lock that in because I love that shape. That is awesome. I'm going to just grab a little bit of that super glue off there. I need to open up my little applicator. Jeez. Yeah, no, thank you guys for all the questions and whatnot. I definitely prefer a very talkative chat because it keeps me excited about what I'm working on. And I love answering questions. Again, like the Hobby Hangout is really supposed to be a place where I can show what I'm working on and kind of talk about what we're moving forward with the Grimdark Distillery and answer any questions like that anyone has because I really think that that's being someone that can answer the questions and gives a shit about what they're doing is very important for the community that I want to build. That I am building, that I have built. So that needs to be pulled just a little bit. It needs to be wetter. Again, knowing when to do the thing because it's too dry. I'm gonna have to take another brush and get some of that off there. Also, I need to lock that in. Take a Q-tip, get some of that extra water out of there. But I want to leave enough that it's still wet. Because if it's not wet, then it's not going to pull the way that we want, and we're not going to have as much control. And that's the most, again, finding a zen way to get your process out and done is very key. That needs to be glued like that. So we want to come in here just a little bit. We're going to let that sink in. I might even hit it with some zip kicker just because I want to keep working on it right now. So zip kicker is cyanoacrylate accelerator, CA accelerator. Cyanoacrylate. Okay. Yeah, that was the answer. By gluing that piece down, getting this all very wet, we now have a nice point to pull against, which really lets the paper do what we're wanting it to do. So we get that nice natural look when we pull the skin. We'll make it look very much like it's just being sloughed away. We're just gonna have to pull it. There we go. Got a little stuck. That's great. That needs to go just a little bit there. Push this one in. Yeah. Hell yeah. Jeez. Yeah, it's gonna look really awful, especially once we get some paint on there. It's gonna look like this thing's face is just barely hanging on. Oh, grief. Oh, good grief. Such a silly boy. Always telling grief jokes. Can I make a board game channel in the Discord? Absolutely. You're technically a plastic surgeon. I have never thought about that. But technically, I'm not a doctor. I am a plastic surgeon. I do a lot of dissecting and a lot of surgery for little pieces of plastic. I don't do plastic surgery on humans. But yeah, I am a plastic surgeon. I like that a lot. That's really good. Very good observation. And absolutely possum. Yeah, I made you a mod, so anything that you want to see in the Discord, please make. I really, the more, I guess, that I don't have to think of to make sure that people are engaged and talking and have something to talk about, the more I can really focus on doing this kind of stuff and having enough like material to really move forward and keep showcasing. So yeah, any help like that would be so appreciated. So we want to pull that tight. I'm thinking this, honestly, might go in a little bit. This side needs to be loose though. I really like that. Especially that piece. It's very awful. Very awful. But yeah, absolutely. The board game section sounds very helpful. Very fun. I love board games. I like board games. Hee hee. There we go. Oh, good grief. You silly goofball. That wasn't calling you a goofball. Unless you want to be a goofball. It's calling grief a goofball. Because he is a goofball. Calls him like he sees it. And I use that in a loving term. A loving manner. I'm a goofy goober. Rock. Well, it takes one to know one, so exactly. Exactly. I am King Goof. Yeah, that's good. I think if we get that jaw tightened up there, it will definitely help. we need to get that glued just a little bit on the other side. And we need to pull a little bit of that super glue out, but don't keep our little Q-tip there for too long or it will get stuck and then we will have little fibers in there that are not intentional. We want to make sure that we don't have that. Intention is very key. Yes, and then we can get that nice tight little pull there where the skin is being held back by the nail, which is really what we're trying to get over here. But we're trying to have it also look like there's a sense of movement. And that this is just slowing away. So I don't know if we'll be able to, yeah, yep, okay. Just use more paper. There we go. Just like that. Call me a mobile suit the way I'm a goof. Exactly. I can't stress enough. I've made a lot of the goof custom. I have quite a few of that. And it's also one of my favorite mobile suits. I love 8th MS Team so much. But every time that I've pretty much have been working on one of those, Kelly's just been like, oh yeah, I'm gonna work on the goof. She's just been like, you're a goof. And I'm just like, I'm no goof. I'm not really angry. We do that kind of stuff a lot. There we go. Okay, now I want to see a sculpture made entirely of unintended methods. Oh. Huh. I don't know if I have anything that I've just freewheeled, but I might. Oh. Well, actually, I might. I don't know. I don't know. It wouldn't be unintended. The closest thing that I've got probably is just, I knew that I had X material and I wanted to use that only and create something really gnarly, and it just kind of came together while I was working on it. And I can show that. I'm very happy with it. But it did not, I did not have the intention of making it look like what it did whenever I was doing it. It just kind of naturally happened. So that's probably the closest thing that I've got. Almost got me there, Grief. You almost pulled that skin away. That is nasty. Oh boy, that is a face that I just love to see. He says, hi. So, my Chaos Spawn. I made this for my Black Legion. And it is primed. I have not painted it. I kind of lost steam whenever I started playing 40K again with the group that I was. And I do believe that you can see a picture of it on my Instagram prior to being painted, but in black and white, a black and white photo. But this is a Chaos Spawn that I made that is very much influenced by The Thing, which is my favorite movie. It's got a little bit of Margot hair on there. That stuff, I tell you what, it ends up everywhere. Like, you don't watch out, next thing you know, you got it all over your paramour's ears. You got it all over your Emperor's children's heads. Crazy. But I use Margot hair for hair. So it's one of the byproducts of having Margot mana insane. Hell yeah. So the only bits that are here is this mouth and this arm. And then everything else, there might be a horn or two that I didn't do something with, but most of them were horns that I cut off of other models and I reshaped them so they don't look like what they were. And then the teeth, the other teeth that are all around its face thing, are just small pieces of plastic that I shaved and cut to look like teeth. And then the rest is literally, it is a ball of something like this. When I have excess, I've done something and I was like, man, I don't want to throw that away because that could be used again. And that's really a large chunk of my demons are that. It's me taking other things that I was working on that I lost steam on, or something that I didn't really want to work on, and I was just like, man, what I really want to do is this. Just like, okay, well, let me make the thing. What do I have that can make that thing? And some days I just want to make a real gnarly little gribbly, because I love making really nightmarish stuff. So it goes very quickly. But this essentially is a piece of aluminum foil that is covered in green stuff. I did not use epoxy sculpt at the time, so it's older. But a really weird misshapen ball that I then took a bunch of wire. Let me find. Actually, he brought some with him. So this is just a standard floral gauge wire. I'd have to check to see how actual thick it is, or the gauge. But I use that a lot for pinning. I love to pin stuff. That way it has more stability, and if it's moved around and touched, it does not fall apart. But essentially stuck a bunch of those in there, and then just sculpted around the joints, a little bit, a very, very thin layer around certain parts of the legs. And I wanted to make sure it did not have symmetry. So its legs are very not even. Like, it doesn't have any legs that are the same. They all have X amount of different joints. And some of them have even questionable functionality. Like this little guy on the back that would just be like, clink, 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 clink. Like that's all it couldn't really move in a way that would make sense. So it kind of gives the whole thing a very upsettling kind of look, to where you can kind of imagine it just like slinking down the hallway, very like jittery at you. But I really do love that. And that was one that was just pretty much do the thing and go. There we go. I had to get back in the shot. But yeah, I'm really happy with how that guy, looks. I just need to finish it. But I think I now have enough of a goal and an idea, like what we were talking about earlier, to really move forward with a lot of the stuff that I have had just sitting on the sideline that is ready to be finished. And I want to finish it. I really do. So I'm really, really excited about that. And I am still very excited about 1490 Doom, because I can't stress enough, having a game that if someone comes to my house, I can be like, oh yeah, you want to play this game? I love this game. I know the rules. The rules are very easy. You can pick them up. It does not take much time to set up a game and to get going into it. Within an hour, we can have played a game after just introducing it to somebody, and they walk away being like, that was fun. I want to do this again next time I hang out. And that really is, that's my favorite game for that. 1490 Doom requires so little to present to people. As long as you make sure you understand the core concepts and the flow through, even after like not playing it for a hot minute, I can jump into it and be like, yeah, I can show you this, which is part of the reason I love Merkborg so much. Merkborg is such a, if I have people to play with as opposed to just by myself, it takes so much work off of me because the game functions in a logical way to how I think. And it's very, very rewarding to the kind of stories and the kind of games that I like to play. Oh yeah, there's also some teeth down here. These are not real teeth. These are resin teeth. And there will also be some eyes. Like we're gonna use Frustration's eye. I made from clay. But I have a large amount of taxidermy eyes that I've been waiting to use for so many things. And we will use those because I really need to have some like brain of Mensis kind of stuff going on, where it's just this big flesh amalgamation with like a very unsettlingly real eye looking out through all the madness of just meat. The meat madness. He's got the meat madness. Meat madness. That, yeah, there we go. That's a sticker. But yeah, I think I've yapped and yapped and yapped, but I am very happy with the progress that I got done on Grief. That is very good. That face is pretty much. I wanted it to definitely be almost a homage, homage to the Lich, which is one of my favorite characters in anything. Um, I absolutely love the design of the Lich from Adventure Time, and there's some really good art out there. But the initial drawing where he's pretty much got his flesh mask just kind of billowing, and you can see his teeth under there, and his eyes are very hollowed out. That was definitely something that I was trying to recreate here because I absolutely love that character's design, and I love Adventure Time. It's got a lot of really heavy shit in it that is very good for people that I think need to deal with some shit. So a slight homage there. Yeah, that's good. But yeah, I think I am probably going to stop here just because it's 10:13, and I'm getting hungry and I didn't take a break and I gotta pee. It happens. So I am going to stop here, but I will stream. We are moving the evening hobby hang. It will happen tonight, 7 Eastern, same place. I'll post something in the Discord before we do, and I'll post something on Instagram with a link. But thank you guys so much for hanging out. It's going to take a minute. I got to go through all the names, but Possum, Mowgli, Atri hopped in for a little bit. Dark, thank you, Dark Isles. Let's see, who else was in here? I know we had some new faces, some new names. Conveyor Belt, Aquatarchus. Let's see. Basic Brush was in here, I believe. Yeah, Conveyor, Aquatarchus, Shankly, of course. Basic Brush. Yeah, thank you all. That is everyone who was in the stream today. Thank you guys so much. I say it every time, and I'm gonna keep saying it every time because it's true. Your time is the most important resource that you have, and the fact that you spend it with me means the world to me. Thank you so much. Be good to yourselves and to each other. Take care. Sit pretty. I will see you guys tonight. Have a good one. Thank you all again. Bye, friends.